Teacher Preston here with another video. So I always like to balance my sort of explanations, I guess you could say, between text from books and text from poems, because sort of poems these days, a lot of people in English seem to not read them that much or sort of use them that much. That's one thing I've liked with my journey with the Russian language, if you would, is that it has a big culture of poetry and poems, and English does too. I remember when I went to school, every year we'd have poetry recitals, and it was a big, learning poems was a big part of growing up and of our education, if you would. So let's get into it. And today we're going to review, go through and explain. I'm going to go through and explain William Wordsworth Longfellow's poem, I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud. So let's get into it. Okay, let's go. So let's get into it. So I wandered lonely as a cloud. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine in the milky and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which in the bliss of solitude, and then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. Okay, very sort of, okay, you can tell that it was written quite a long time ago, but still very good words. And I think, and very expressive. I think that's the thing that I want to bring home. There's no old, well, okay, there's older ways of saying things in English, but you can still use those words. So I wandered lonely as a cloud. So he's talking about clouds wandering. So wandering, he's giving them a sort of human-like quality, that they wander, that they walk, that floats on high o'er vales and hills. So o'er is he's giving it a sort of English. So it's something that somebody from Yorkshire or something, they in their accent would cut out that V over or make the V sort of silent a bit. Vales and hills. So hill and vale, vale is like a valley. So hills and valleys. when all at once I saw, so he's sort of picturing himself like a cloud, seeing the earth from above and seeing these hills and valleys. When all at once I saw a crowd, so a crowd meaning group, a host of golden daffodils. So a host is somebody who hosts somebody, but in older English means a big group, clump. So a host of golden daffodils. Beside the lake, so beside is also older English word saying next to the lake. So you can use it today, but here, beside the lake, beneath the tree. So beneath is also a bit older, means underneath. Fluttering and dancing in the breeze. So fluttering means like a willow. So if you picture a willow sort of flutters, or butterflies flutter. So sort of quick movements. And dancing. So dancing because the wind's making them move in the breeze. But dancing in the breeze also gives the daffodils a sort of human-like quality, is giving them sort of attributes. So actually, let me get my pointer here. So continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. So continuous meaning that they go on forever, like the stars in the Milky Way. They stretched in never-ending line along the margin of the bay. So they stretched never-ending, so without ending, line along the margin. So margin is a way, another way of saying border, the border of the bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance. 10,000 saw I at a glance. So saw I as opposed to I saw I, it also comes back to sort of older English, not necessarily grammatically correct now, but also he's a poet, so he has poetic license. Saw I at a glance. Also saw I sort of, I guess, gives him more, what's the word? It's like almost like he's taking ownership of what he's seen at a glance. So a glance is just a quick look. Tossing their heads in sprightly dance. So because the wind's blowing the daffodils, their flowers look like they're being tossed, and they're sort of sprightly. It's like they're jumping around. Jumping around, sort of dancing. So again, giving them a sort of human-like quality. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. So he's saying, sort of making everything come alive. The waves also danced, but they outperformed the sparkling waves in glee, sort of also happiness, because they were happy and having fun. I guess glee can also be a way of sort of saying having fun. A poet could not but be gay. So that's also the other thing. Poet could not but be gay. Does not mean a poet could not be homosexual. No. Gay is also an older English word, which means happy. So also means happy. So in such jocund company. So such sort of lively company. Jocund, also sort of older word, you don't see it so much. I gazed and gazed, but little thought. So he looked and looked, but wasn't thinking what wealth the show had to me brought. So let me just go down here. I just need it. Give me 2 seconds. Okay. Then I'll reactivate that. Okay. So what wealth the show had to me brought. And he's not talking about physical wealth. So wealth, usually when we think about wealth in the normal context, we think about riches, so money, property, that kind of thing. But here, what wealth the show had to me brought. So wealth, he's talking about riches as in of, how can I put it? Riches in experience, I guess, that it was a wealth of experience that had been brought to him. For oft when on my couch I lie. So oft, also, oft is an older English word meaning often, in vacant or in pensive mood. So vacant mean empty, so that you're not thinking of anything, or pensive meaning that you are thinking of something. Mood, they flash upon my inward eye. So what is flash upon my inward eye? He's meaning that his eyes are closed, so he can see them in his inner eye. He can see them in his mind. That's what he's trying to say. Which is the bliss of solitude. So, which is sort of happiness, bliss of being by oneself, solitude, to be alone. And then my heart with pleasure fills. So pleasure fills, daffodils, also a rhyme going on there. So meaning that he becomes happy, that his heart becomes happy, and dances with the daffodils. So he dances with the daffodils in his mind. So just let me go back. So thank you very much for joining me for today's lesson. See you in my next video. Bye-bye.